the other day, Gio did a video and he started it by saying, do not defend Premier League footballers' wages. And he did that, obviously, as part of jest. But what he knew he was about to do a video that wouldn't be universally popular with anybody. And this is me doing the same. Now, before I get into it, everything that's happened has, I think, really made me appreciate, I was going to say football a little bit more, but everything a little bit more. Be it going out for a meal, to seeing me family, visiting me friends, walking down a park, just meeting people. Life has changed. And the longer it goes on, I think the more we appreciate the smaller things in life. Like eggs. Poached eggs. I can't get any eggs at the moment, by the way. You know what I'm saying. You appreciate the small things. I think sometimes, in West Ham terms, I think I've certainly been guilty of getting a little bit ahead of myself. Would I like to be playing Champions League football, knocking the ball around, popping 4 goals, 5 goals in every game? Yes, of course, I would. But in all honesty, at the moment, if you were to tell me in 2 months, 3 months' time, life would be back to normal, I'd be back to work, everyone would be fit and healthy, and we had football to look forward to, even Championship football, I'd take it. Because actually, the megalomaniac in me that wants his football team to rule the world is almost gone. I'm now in a situation where I almost just want my football team to exist. And does that mean that we have to forget everything that's gone in the past? The fact that we were asked to move to the Olympic Stadium for bigger and better things? No, I don't think that. Does that mean the Olympic Stadium is perfect? No, it's far from perfect. But I tell you what, I would really love to go and spend a day out there and see my mates and support my football team right now, even in that stadium. And it started making me think about the manager in particular. And in particular, how he's conducted himself in just over the recent times. You probably know that he's agreed to take a pay cut. I don't doubt that. Now, this is not a man that's earned an awful lot of money over the last few years, okay? And I know that's going to sound ridiculous. But when he initially took the West Ham job, he took the West Ham job for 10 grand a week. I would love 10 grand a week. I've got to be honest with you, I would absolutely love it. Yes, he got a £2 million bonus. But my point is, compared to other Premier League managers, he's not on anywhere near the money. He hasn't earned anywhere near that amount of money. But he probably thinks, do you know what? I've got enough money in the bank there. I can look after myself. This money is better needed elsewhere. And I like that. That's the sort of attitude that I was talking about. I wanted the players to start thinking along those sort of lines. I also look at his public utterances. The things he's been saying about the fans, about appreciating the fans. I also look at how he's conducted himself since he's arrived at the club, and what must have been a tricky job. He was released by David Sullivan, if you believe that David Sullivan is the puppet master at West Ham. David Sullivan released David Moyes. Said, thank you for the good work. Here's your £2 million bonus. But we don't need you anymore. We're going in a different direction. We want a more continental feel. We want a bit more flair. So David Moyes was sent packing. Now I don't know how I would take that, but I've got to think, knowing my own character, I would probably take that quite personally. I would probably think, well, hold on, I kept you up, took you to 13th. I did everything that was required of me, and you still got rid of me. At the point when Pellegrini came in, let's be honest, had to be given the boot because he wasn't doing the job well enough. We went back cap in hand to David Moyes. And he still took the job. There was a certain amount of swallowing of pride required, I think, for Moyes to take that job. Don't get me wrong, I think Sullivan probably had to swallow some pride to offer it to him. But I do think there was a situation there for both parties where not a lot of people wanted to take the job. And also, not a lot of people were offering David Moyes work. Almost a last chance saloon for both David Sullivan and David Moyes. A marriage of convenience rather than one of love, if you follow me. But I think that shows character for him to take it. Not only did he take it, he came and did a really good interview. And then he hung around. He got into the club. He found out there were no scouts. There were not only no scouts, no database on players. So he had to hurriedly build up some work. We find out that the guy he wanted to bring in, Stuart Pearce, couldn't come in for whatever reason you want to believe that to be. So for quite a little while, he was stuck with just himself and Alan Irvine. 2 members of staff taking that training. He'd been left really with a lopsided squad by Pellegrini. The fan base is fractious, still is fractious, by the way. That's not gone away. Unsettled fan base, let's say. And he wasn't exactly welcomed with open arms, David Moyes. When David Moyes was announced, there was basically a groan at best. Criticism, a lot of criticism, but it was more or less, oh, not Moyes again. We don't want 23% possession in games, boring David Moyes, and all that sort of thing. Yes, I know he came in and in the Bournemouth game, it was better. But then we dipped, we flitted from one formation to another. And again, we sort of got consumed by things which now just don't seem as important. He brought in Kevin Nolan, and I believe the guy's name is Paul Nevin. One of the coaches from Gareth Southgate's England. He'd done the rounds, Paul Nevin. Kevin Nolan, of course, well, needs no introduction from me. I think it's also a brave manager that takes on someone like Kevin Nolan. Kevin Nolan's a big character. But not only is he a big character, Kevin Nolan's a big character with ambitions to be a football manager. I think that shows character to take someone, it shows strength of character to say, I'm going to bring this guy in. Somebody that may well at some point down the line be a threat to David Moyes, but still, because he feels it's the right thing to do and he has confidence in himself, brings him in. And then, in the transfer window, we know full well that the cupboard was bare. It was old Mother Hubbard's cupboard. A bit like my cupboard in there at the moment. There was no dossiers. We know full well that the previous management regime and the scouts took the scouting reports with them. They weren't put on a computerised database. It was a paper-based system. They took it and they went. That's not the dossier, by the way. He sourced Souček. Apparently I'm still saying that wrong. Souček, Thomas Souček, and Jared Bowen. Hopefully I've got that right. Jim Bowen. We like to call him Jim Bowen. Good signings. Showed that he had a little depth of knowledge of what was going on in the lower leagues. We know that's somewhere that he wants to scout from in the future. And had his finger in the pulse in the overseas market. Turned out Souček was, after he joined us, was voted Czech Player of the Year. Looks a decent player. They both look like really handy players. In many respects, I felt just before the football season collapsed that West Ham were getting into their stride. I thought I was getting quite confident of things to come. I thought we could stay up. We did that predictor system. I did it 3 or 4 times. Every time I had us to stay up. And I thought I was being harsh. I had us to lose against Man U and Arsenal and so on and so forth. So I looked at it and I look at how David Moyes has acted in what is really a tough period. And I think he has been a solid figurehead of the club. I think he's shown leadership qualities. And whilst I've not been the biggest fan of his football and his substitutions and so on and so forth, you've seen enough of us criticising him, not just in this particular stint at the club, but before as well, when he's lost. I think there's been enough there at the football to warrant giving him a chance, to warrant looking at him and looking what he achieved at Everton. And what he did at Everton was stability. And what we need at West Ham now is someone solid. We need a leader. And we need stability. We need somebody just to build something at the club. And I just want something. I want something to get behind. I want to look forward to my football. And I want to know that we have a vision and a purpose and a direction. And just every single thing I've seen from David Moyes throughout all of this, from the moment he put himself into isolation, he come out and everything that he says about the fans, about the players, about his vision going forward, I like. Is he Pep Guardiola? No, I don't think he is. But I do think he's a bloody good bloke. I think he's a good man. I think he's a competent manager. I think he's got a vision. And I think he's got the club's best interests at heart. And bearing in mind everything that's going on at the moment, that'll do for me going forward.